on this paper right here is the explanation of and the solution for one of the biggest problems that you are facing if you're a highly ambitious, highly creative person who has multiple different interests. Let's talk about it. Recently, I had a conversation with a client of mine, and he said how in the past he had the limiting belief of thinking that he cannot do anything, he cannot accomplish anything. But now he has the limiting belief of thinking that he can do everything. Let me repeat that. The limiting belief of thinking that you can do everything. Doesn't make much sense, right? That's not a limiting belief. Well, that's the topic of our conversation today. The limiting belief that most people overlook. One of the most dangerous limiting beliefs because it is so deceiving. Now, there's a side question of whether I'm just blessed to be working with people who are extremely self-aware, or do I maybe contribute to their self-awareness, but that's a story for another time. Trace, if you are watching this, thank you for the call the other day, and also thank you for inspiring this video. So, the limiting belief of thinking that you can do everything. How can this even be a limiting belief? Before we address that, we will just acknowledge that there are two layers to this. Thinking that you can do everything can come from genuine self-confidence and self-belief, and also it can come simply from the context of our age. What is the context of our age? Well, you can build a website in a few minutes. You can build an app in a couple of hours. You can create an account on social media and either pursue your genuine passion or pose as an expert on things that you know nothing about, just because of how online world works and all of the opportunities, especially now because of AI. You can go traveling the world. You can volunteer in Africa. You can pursue this career or that career. So, our age is the age of endless possibilities. That's a fact. So, the belief that you can do everything has some real grounding in the context of our age. And once again, this belief also can come from genuine belief in yourself and your own capacities. For most people, it's going to be a mixture of both. Now, how is this a limiting belief? It is a limiting belief in precisely two ways. So let's make this clear and structured. First point of how believing that you can do everything is a limiting belief. You're limiting the exploration of what you are really capable of if you focus on one thing. So if you believe that you can pursue all of your interests at the same time, you are limiting the chance, the potential to explore what you're really capable of if you focus on one thing or on one thing at a time. The second one, you are limited in your idea of commitment. That is, you think that the focus should be on everything that you can't do, everything that you don't get to do if you choose just one thing, rather than focusing on all of the possibilities and chances and experiences that come out of that commitment. Now, let's clarify both points a bit. First, you're limiting the exploration of what you're capable of. You're limiting the exploration of your full potential. This should be pretty simple because you already intuitively know this. The second one, you might not even know intuitively, but I'm here to share from personal experience and experience of working with people. The first one, you intuitively know that if you are pursuing 5 goals at the same time, if you're trying to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and at the same time taking up a course on building an online business and at the same time trying to read all of the Russian classics in a year and at the same time preparing for an ultra marathon, you're not really going to excel in either one of these things. And you're not going to get a chance to experience what it means to pursue something fully, to really see what you are capable of when you invest most, if not all, of your attention and energy into one project. We are here not talking about committing your whole life to something. When I'm advocating for making that commitment to one thing, I'm not saying right now choose the project that is going to last a whole lifetime. I'm not saying now choose what your single mission in your life is, but choose one thing at a time. So, once again, you have probably experienced what it's like to have your, not just attention, but your energy scattered by pursuing multiple different goals at the same time. Since ancient times, in both West and East, we have philosophical texts, religious texts, spiritual texts, talking about the dispersal of and wasting of life force by trying to go in multiple different directions at the same time. So this is not some new productivity advice. This is not Alex Hormozy saying choose just one business model and double down on it and triple down on it and 10x or whatever the next step is. This is the tale as old as time. Those who want to pursue multiple goals and projects at the same time, sure, can have great fun doing it, but they will never experience what it's like to really tap into your full potential. If you're fine with not experiencing that, that is great. There is no shame in it. So this is not a moral debate that you're a bad person or that I'm better by focusing on one thing and that you are worse by focusing on multiple different things. It's just a question of, do you want to experience what it's like to tap into your full potential? If you do, you will have to choose one thing at a time. Okay, second is you are not understanding the concept of commitment. Because why do people want to think that they can do everything and everything at the same time? Because humans are afraid of making a commitment. If I choose one thing, I'm observing myself and experiencing not choosing other things. If I'm going through one door, I'm observing myself and experiencing closing all the other doors. Søren Kierkegaard, the great Danish philosopher and theologian, the grandfather or father of existentialism, he said that this is actually the original concept of anxiety. This inner conflict when we stand in front of or are faced with infinite possibilities of our life and knowing that we have to choose, that we have to make a passionate commitment. Otherwise, we stay in the realm of possibilities. You know, that's the person that you have met, or maybe the person that you have been at some point, or maybe the person that you are right now, the person who is keeping their options open. Because if I can be an artist, an entrepreneur, and an ultramarathon racer, and a global traveler, if I can be all of those things, then I'm not failing in any one of these. Then my options are open and I can keep dreaming. It's a dangerous but a very comfortable place to be in. But if I choose to become the best writer that I can be, I'm probably not going to be the next Leo Messi, or I'm probably not going to be the next Elon Musk, although I would have no desire to be Elon Musk if we see what is happening with him right now. That's besides the point. Commitment. Commitment is one of the greatest things that a human can do, but it's extremely scary. Okay. The thing is that you're limited in your understanding of commitment, because believing that you can do everything at the same time is a limiting belief, in the sense that it gives you a limited understanding of, or it comes out of a limited understanding of commitment. You are focusing on everything that you don't get to do. I don't get to be a painter. I don't get to backpack around the world if right now I commit to this job or to this project? What are all of the things that spring out of that commitment? That is what people are not asking. And as I said, this is the aspect of this whole conversation that you don't intuitively know, because it really takes experiencing it to understand it. So I'm also here limited. We are talking a lot about limits. I'm limited in how much I can convey this, because I have experienced it and I have helped people experience it. But I can never really transfer that subjective experience, a real experience, to you. I can try to convince you, and I will share my experience. When people hear that I've been writing every day for over 6 years, when people hear and see, some of them have been following me for a while, when people see that since December of 2019, now it's end of June 2026, I've been at it with my online writing, and I've been staying on course. I've stayed focused on my project, on my mission for over 6 years. When people see that or hear that, they think, well, there was no other choice. I was so passionate about this and I didn't have any other interest. People think this was a no-brainer. That's not the case. I had an idea for an app. I was actually writing a white paper, or was pretty much done, writing a white paper about an app that would completely change how small local business-to-business economy works. Idea for an app. An existing online business that admittedly was not making almost any money, but it was partially a charity as well. So I wasn't expecting a lot of money. I was very much engaged in it. So idea for an app, an existing online business, a career as an air traffic controller, and a years-long dream of building a fitness business focused on kettlebell training. So I had 4 other things that were very personally relevant, that were not some pipe dreams, but were there. I at least scratched the surface on all of them. And then there was also writing. I'm saying this not to brag how I had all of these other things going for me. Far from it. I'm saying this to relate to you, to say, well, I am that person with multiple interests. I'm that person who found it difficult to choose. I'm that person who was faced with a choice. Am I going to dip my toes into all of these and pursue multiple of them at the same time in a half-assed manner? Or am I going to focus on one thing at a time and see where it takes me? And if it's not taking me where I would want it to take me, then I can choose another thing. So I never said writing is, or I didn't say at the beginning that writing is going to be something that I pursue for 5 years, 6 years. I committed to a year. And these days I speak to people honestly and I say, you don't need to commit right away to a year. Don't do that. Commit to a few months. But I observed what was happening. And let me tell you, no external success was happening. But the internal richness of my life exploded when I started writing. And I knew, this is it. More time passed, no external success. More time passed, no external success. More time passed, no external success. So in some way I was ridiculous with my persistence. I do have to say that. Again, not to brag, to say that if I outline my whole story, it's not actually a template to follow. But it worked out, and I'm tremendously blessed. But the point that is sort of a template, because it's universal, it's not just me, it's when you make a commitment, it does enrich your life. And if it starts working out externally, so if you do choose to continue pursuing something, and if you pursue it for long enough, and passionately enough, and consistently enough, inevitably your life will start changing. And we go back to the idea of all of the things that you will not get to do. So I didn't get to build that app that transforms the local economy. I didn't get to build a kettlebell-focused fitness business. I abandoned the existing online business that I had. The only thing that stayed for a few more years was my career as an air traffic controller, because I need to pay the bills, or needed at that time to pay the bills. Luckily now I'm paying them with writing and speaking to people, so how insanely cool is that? The point being is, if I looked at my commitment in this limited way, I would say, okay, I don't get to build an app, I don't get to build the kettlebell focused business, I don't get to continue running and trying to improve this existing online business as well. And what do I get out of this commitment? Well, I will write. I will write online, and best case scenario, I make money off of my writing, and best case scenario, I maybe start selling books. Okay. That's not actually how it works. Because as I said, so many new opportunities and experiences spring out of a commitment. If you told me that I will be speaking to people from all over the world, if you told me that at the beginning of my writing journey, I wouldn't believe you. I wouldn't even want that. Now, besides my family and my loved ones, it's the biggest blessing of my life. The chance to speak to people from all over the world. It is by far the greatest education, even though I invested over 10,000 hours reading great books, philosophy and psychology, that have tremendously changed my life. Still, the biggest education in my life comes from the last 3 years of thousands of hours at this point of speaking to humans from all over the world. Once again, I could have not predicted this in my wildest dreams when I started writing. When I started writing, if you listed all of the ways in which my life would end up changing, I wouldn't believe you. Because, to some extent, I had the limiting belief of what it looks like to commit to one thing. But luckily, the first one was something that I was very clear on. I knew that there is no exploring of my full potential if I pursue 5 things at the same time. Let's bring this back to you. You have 2 very concrete arguments. You will never experience what it's like to tap into your full potential and capacity. Capacity for effort, capacity for attention, capacity for consistency. You will never experience that if you don't commit to one thing at a time, one project at a time. Second, you have no idea how much richness commitment brings to your life. You cannot predict, you just cannot predict. It is impossible for you to predict all the new things, layers, experiences, opportunities that this commitment, whatever the commitment is, that it will bring to your life. So by focusing on all things that you don't get to do initially, you are deceiving yourself. You're sabotaging yourself. Is this a big enough argument? Or are all of these together great enough arguments for you to say, well, it's time for me to choose? I hope so. Once again, I will go back to Soren Kierkegaard, who said that decision is the little magic word that existence respects. The first time I read this was 2020. 6.5 years later. I've kept making my decisions. And when it comes to my journey, it was renewing my commitment and my decision. And if I'm acting as a friend to you, maybe a mentor, I really want you to make a decision. Once again, you don't have to commit to doing or pursuing one thing for the next 6.5 years. Because I didn't do that as well. Commit to a reasonably challenging period of time. Something that gets you a bit nervous so that you know, okay, This is going to require renewing the commitment. This is going to require some persistence as well. It's not going to be, a one night or one weekend stand in creative and intellectual terms. It's going to be actually trying to build a proper relationship with that project. Once again, decision is the little magic word that existence respects. I'm leaving you with this, and as always, stay strong, love life, never feel sorry for yourself, make that decision and passionate commitment, and supplement it with lighting up that raging fire in your heart, and as always, going beyond.